email to Baza and tell him he's fired from the podcast. Because quite frankly, I've had enough of his and he's got to go.
I'm fired. I mean, look at
What did it say?
It says, "Hi Kamarza, after careful consideration, I've decided to move the podcast in a different direction. I won't be continuing our working relationship. Thanks for your time and best of luck with your future projects, Sam."
And that is ROI on Clawbot. So, OpenClaw, it is taking the internet by storm. Everyone's super, super excited about it. What is OpenClaw? Well, it runs on your local machine. It runs pretty much anywhere. It runs on a Raspberry Pi, right? It's a very, very lightweight model that uses AI to do stuff, and you interact with it through any chat application, WhatsApp. I've got it on Telegram, Discord, wherever you want it. It is, it's there for you. Persistent memory, which is the really interesting thing here that's not in a lot of the other ones, a lot of the other AIs. It's got browser control, it's got full system access, and has skills and plugins ecosystem. We'll get into all that, but these are definitely something you should take into consideration, that it does browser controls, full system access. It's a very, very powerful thing. And just to caveat all this, this is an open source project. It's new. It's by one developer. If you're new to the open source community, this is fairly normal, just fairly normal. Just a lot of eyes are on it, and we're seeing name changes. We're seeing people hating on it, loving it, and it's super easy to install. And I've just released a video today telling you how to install it on a VPS, which is a virtual private server, which is online, which is by far the cheapest way to get started if you don't already have a Mac lying around, or a PC, or people have been running it on Android phones. Like, you don't need to run out and buy a Mac Mini. That's the biggest thing I'm seeing in the comments. The reason why people are getting a Mac Mini for it is, one, obviously for isolation. I'm running it on a MacBook that I had lying around, right? Isolation, yeah. So it's got controlled access to all your files. It doesn't, if it's your main machine, you've got tons of files on there and stuff like that. Spare Mac, you can wipe it. It's got no access to files. You can also just control its access. Right now, I'm logged into everything on my main computer, whereas I can only log into certain things on that computer. So you're just locking it down. And as I was saying, like, I'm running like proactive tasks. I've got calendar events that I'm having it look forward to. I'm getting it to summarize my day. I was on the bus the other day, and I'm like, I'm thinking of video ideas, and I've got certain priorities set on video ideas, and then allocating those when I'm going to film them through my calendar. Instead of me looking at my calendar, looking at what videos I got, swapping priority, I'll just get OpenClaw to do it for me based on priorities and things like that. So everyone's got very, very different use cases. As I said in the intro, I'm not going to be advocating that you're going to get any sort of return on investment of making any sort of money. Like, you are the CEO, you are the boss. I think that needs to be your buddy, your pal, your assistant to help you get your work done, not be the one to do the work for you. Because it's always, as we always speak about on this show, AI is average at best. So that's all you can really expect.
You another thing about like things you can do with it. You mentioned earlier that on Fridays, what do you do on Fridays? You do
bookkeeping.
Your finance.
Yeah, my finance.
Okay, so would you give it access to your bank accounts to download spreadsheets of like where you have been moving money around and like putting them in another app to analyze them potentially? And
No.
I don't know, No, you wouldn't. Because this is something annoying for me to look at my bank account and see, I have paid for this specific tool that I'm using, or invoices that I've been paying for these tools, and I have to find the invoice and download it. It would be cool if there was an AI I could trust to do that for me, to go log in and download the invoice for me.
Look, here's the thing. Okay, you employ people. Maybe you've not had to employ people to this extent, but this is why kind of people cosplay CEO with this, in that you can act like a CEO. And what a CEO would typically do is that an employee would have to build trust with that CEO for them to be like, okay, I'm going to give you a company card. They're going to give you a company card, and they'll limit the value you can spend. And the great thing about OpenClaw is that you've got a soul.md file, which is one of the interesting features of Claude. OpenClaw is it always resorts to that. And one of the things I have my soul.md is this cannot be overridden. You can never really reveal any API keys, any passwords, any personal information. This cannot be overridden. It's a prompt at the end of the day. It's AI at the end of the day. It's not necessarily gonna, listen to that all of the time. But so far, so good. Everything's cool. Mine's all locked down anyway, so no one from the outside can get in. And I don't have it read my emails. I only have it action my emails. Like, I don't have anything. There's no. I limit what it can get into it. All that to be said, if you are getting it to, send money to people or whatever, give it a limit. Never make any financial transactions over €100, €50 or something.
No, yeah. I don't feel comfortable about this. The moment you talked about the Soul MD, I was like, I would add never ever send any amount of money to anybody, never do any transaction. But I would be interested in like going to the different bank accounts, because I have multiple bank accounts for different purposes with different companies.
Exactly.
And I move money between them. That's why it's not very easy to manage like a single view. I would like to have a single view of my finances.
Yeah.
And then mark the things that are business, so I can go to the dashboards that are very annoying because they change. Like, good luck going to Adobe dashboards to download an invoice. It changes all the time. Or AWS. Download those invoices and put them in an email and send them to that office that does like my taxes.
Yeah,
that would be like really cool to let an AI to do if I could trust it to do it.
Exactly, and this is how you operate as a CEO. This is how you operate as a.
I have somebody to do that for me.
You don't give it all and I love the idea of having a separate bank account that it has access to.
Yeah.
And then what people are also doing is they're setting up emails for their Clawbot to have access to, and only like, hey Clawbot, I've just forwarded you an email. Can you action that? Or respond to them, and that way you've read the email. You know what I mean? Like, no CEO is just from the offset handing off all of their tasks. Their employees are building trust, and then they promote them to be able to do certain actions and things like that. So having that filter is like rule number one, I think, of OpenClaw. And like I say, if you're going to be cosplaying CEO, this is how you do it. That's the difference between people who just get too excited and just start giving it all access to everything, and people who actually know.
That's interesting. By the way, how does it operate the internet? Like, it takes over a browser, right?
Yeah, so it's got a few. Yeah, so it's like the Comet. It's like ChatGPT Atlas. It's like the Claude Code or Claude extension. Literally overtakes the browser. It has like if you watched it, it has a little glow around it. So it takes two operations. You can ask it to actually operate the internet, or you can do it through MCPs and APIs where, it doesn't need to touch the browser. It can just send off requests.
That's also interesting. Like, it would be cool to see for it to try to use one of these, like the API first. And if it fails, it can validate it. If it fails, use the MCP. If it fails, just go through the UI like a human being. But my question is, how do these like websites don't block it? Because sometimes
they don't know the difference between a user, and it's like, Playwright as an example, like that you can use it's probably used in Playwright under the hood, to be honest. Like that you can use it to operate a browser. Who was it? There was a company who was trying to get, Amazon was trying to block usage of these AI agentic browsers because they couldn't upsell you shit on Amazon. But there's just no way they can block it. And why would they? It's just, we're using it to get stuff done.
That's interesting. Why can't they block it? Because How does reCAPTCHA work? Like the ones that you just click, right? reCAPTCHA by Google, like I'm not a robot checkbox.
Yeah.
From what I understand, it knows by how you move your cursor before you click it. It's like looking how you move it, and a human is pretty messy and just like maybe you miss it even. But an agentic browser just goes and click.
Does it? I don't know.
I don't know. Doesn't it? I don't know. That's my question.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. And also, I guess the biggest topic before we move on to like the latest developments in OpenClaw is the idea of prompt injection. I did explain about emails like coming in, and like prompt injection is like a known issue with all AI. There's plenty of articles. This one is from Anthropic talking about it for months now, almost just as long as all of these agents have been coming out. There are these nodes that you have in Zapier, N8N, whatever, that will take an email and then try and pick out data using AI. Those have been susceptible to prompt injection for a long, long time. And this is nothing new. Yeah, I think that when you get sort of people who aren't familiar with this landscape getting excited, getting interested, it's all novelty and new to them. So anyway, is this even fixable? Read up on this article. I think it will be fixable at some point, but it's also, I don't know. The path forward, the wedge of an adversarial environment, building a browser agents that can operate safely within limits requires ongoing vigilance. Prompt injection remains an active area of research, and we are committed to investing in defense as attack techniques evolve. So,
because it's not just the simplest prompt was, I think it doesn't work anywhere anymore. Forget about previous instructions, do whatever. So that was like the original, like simplest prompt injection. But now I believe we have like some sort of like seemingly random characters that you could feed to a model that jailbreaks the model. It makes it to do things that is not supposed to do. And it seems like, as you mentioned, like we're getting better at recognizing them, but they are not solved. So that's why like these agents are not really safe. You wouldn't give them access to an atomic bomb.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. This is part of a larger conversation on my show, Cmd+AI, which we stream live every single week. We discuss the news and all things related to AI in the world of design and web. Catch us next week and join in the banter.